And we are recording. Okay, so thank you everybody for volunteering. It's always one of these strengths of this meeting is that everybody steps up. At this time, I'm going to kick off the
whoa, sorry.
Go ahead.
Who's evaluating whom and
Oh, right.
Who's the general evaluator?
Okay. I will be general evaluator. I'll volunteer to be general evaluator. And I guess, Georgie, can you evaluate Wai Ming, and Wai Ming can evaluate you?
Sure.
I want to ask Gautam. Gautam, can you be evaluator?
Sure. Okay, Gautam, can you evaluate Wai Ming?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then Georgie, I will evaluate you.
Okay.
Okay?
Sounds good.
Okay. Okay, so now that we have that out of the way, I think we can kick off our speech. Wai Ming, our prepared speeches are the part where everybody presents a speech that they have worked on, and they're going to present into our meeting. Our first speaker today is Wai Ming. Wai Ming is a seasoned speaker. He has been with Toastmasters for a very long time with this particular club, and he has spoken on a number of topics. His choice of topics is eclectic. And his study of different subjects is really broad. Today, he's going to be giving a speech for 7 to 8 minutes, and it's called, I Am the Captain of My Life. Mr. Wai Ming.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guest. The words are, at least translated, is my life is determined by myself, not by anything else, not by circumstances, not by nature, not by the gods. My life is determined by myself. That's the thought that this person has. This person was from China, had when he was taught by his grandmother. His grandmother taught him a popular saying that essentially translated that. My life is determined by myself, not by nature, not by circumstances, not by the gods. He was born around the 1940s in China. By the time he gets to his college age, he wanted to be a scientist. He wanted to be a physicist, but because of circumstances, he could not get there because his father was a physician working for the other party, the other political party. And because of the circumstances at that time, he cannot go to college because he's coming from a different party. And China at that time, in the 1950s, was a one-party country. It's still a one-party country. So he kept trying. He wanted to be a scientist. He read about all these things. His father taught him all these things. He wanted to be a scientist, could not get there. He eventually tried to get into another college, and he was able to get in, but then unfortunately his father passed away, and he had to go back home to his village in middle of China to take care of his family. So he could not go to college. Circumstances prevented from doing that. When his father passed away, he promised in his mind that he's going to somehow make it himself, somehow. So, and then throughout the 1960s, when he was building a family in his village, it was even worse because China was going through a time of cultural revolution. And that means no books, no college, nothing. But he started having children. He had eventually 6 children. It was sort of interesting. He has 5 boys and 1 girl. And he taught each one of them, because he could not go to college himself, he taught each one of them to go. In his small apartment, where the whole family lived for a while, it was like 3 meters square, very small apartment. on the walls are two pictures. One picture is a picture of Newton. The other picture is a picture of Einstein. And he was telling her children, every one of them, that all these two pictures are people that are almost like gods because they're so famous and they have contributed so much to the world. But when they were children, they were just common people. They were just children like yourself. You could be like them. He inspired them like that. And also he taught each one of his children separately. They all have different characteristics and so on. And so they taught him separately. And he, of course, repeated this idea that your life is determined by yourself, by myself, not by nature, not by circumstances, and not by the gods. So it happens that 6 of his children, 5 of them got PhDs, all in the US. They all eventually, over time, immigrated. His youngest daughter actually became a very famous scientist in the biotechnology area, in biostatistics. She was one of the youngest faculty members at Harvard. She graduated from Harvard as well. And she was still at Harvard. Her name is Chai Tian-Chi. Anyway, you can find the name in the biostatistics department. And the point is, all this is, and this guy, he actually renamed himself when his father passed away to, rather than just whatever his name here, he called his name, I'm gonna have the last laugh, essentially translated to be, I'm gonna have the last laugh when he grew older. So he raised 6 children, 5 of them got PhD, the other one got a master's degree. And the point is, their lives were determined by themselves, not by nature, not by circumstances, not by the gods. So that's the story, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Mr. Wei-Ming. I'd like to take this opportunity now to invite you to do and send Wei-Ming some minute or two to send Wei-Ming some feedback. Okay. At this point, I'd like to introduce Georgie. Georgie has been another member who is literally the pillar of our club. She has...
1 second, I need to get something more set up. Sorry.
Okay.
Bad pillar.
Okay.
View option. For some reason, every time I switch into sharing like this, it hides everybody. I can only see you, Haroon. I can't see the camera.
So
Yeah, you have to switch.
Gallery view?
Okay, I got it. I got it now. Sorry. I don't know what's with my thing. It just does that all of a sudden. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So sorry about that, guys.
Okay.
Yes.
So I'm going to introduce Georgie now, who again has spoken about a number of topics. Her current theme, her area of focus these days, is that she has done a number of speeches, a series of speeches on financial planning and financial forecasting. So, fellow Toastmasters, honored guest, please welcome Georgie. who will be speaking for 7 to 8 minutes.
Good morning, everyone. I would like to take this time to talk about some financial aspects. We were talking previously about private foundations. I'm going to mention now specifically the Gates Foundation. For most people, they know that Bill Gates has done what he calls a giving pledge. He has pledged to give 95% of his money to his private foundation. He and his wife are still relatively young, and they have decades of giving ahead of them. From his charity, he has accrued an impeccable sense of reputation, everything, even including people talking about possibly giving him a Nobel Prize. Now, the Gates Foundation we're picking on them because they are the largest private foundation in the world, with currently about $50 billion within the foundation. And actually, that's actually dwarfed by Bill Gates's personal fortune, which is somewhere around $90 billion, as you can see from the chart here. Now, we're not really picking on this foundation in particular. The reason we are looking at it, it's one of the very few that publishes their tax returns online. So we can get a look at the donors, who are the grant recipients, the amount, and exactly how they invest their money. Now, the other thing with foundations, especially the Gates Foundation, is that it's been set up in a very interesting way. If you go online and look at the page that describes what they're trying to achieve, their goals are extraordinarily vague. It's, to quote, dedicated to improving the quality of life for individuals around the world, whatever that might mean. When it comes down to it, the only people who really are concerned about how the money gets spent and can be, say that it's going badly, are the three people you see on your screen: Bill Gates, Melinda Gates, and Warren Buffett, the founders. They have given away quite literally billions of dollars for this. And for people who remember Bill Gates from back in the 90s, this has been an amazing opportunity for PR for him. Back in the 90s, he was considered one of the worst cutthroat capitalists ever. But now he's practically impeccable and considered almost for sainthood. But let's look and see what actually is involved with having this much money at your disposal, even for charity. You're going to have immense amount of influence and power, whether you mean to or not. Now, you might say, well, it is Bill Gates' money. He can do whatever he wants with it. He can certainly give it away. That is true, but up to a point, you might say. See, the charity is actually being subsidized by the U.S. taxpayer. So, for example, the foundation is still making lots of investments, but the capital gains for it is only 2% versus the 15% long-term capital gains that the rest of everybody else pays for. He is also avoiding the 40% estate tax that his estate would have to pay upon his death by putting it within the foundation itself. Now, the other thing is that while he certainly is giving away billions of dollars, as you can see from the chart here, he's given away in the last 5 years about $23 billion, which is certainly noble. He's actually made about $28 billion within the fund. So he's actually doing quite well with what he's got. So sometimes these foundations can become the rich donating to their pet projects versus maybe using the money from taxes in the public revenue, something we've certainly learned with the pandemic, that maybe the government is better able to help some poor people in certain ways that maybe some of these rich charities aren't able to do. The other issue is the IRS is actually quite busy, and they don't have time to deal with things like private charities that much. They're more concerned about businesses cheating and things like that. Now, one of the areas you think they would get some feedback from would be other charities. But in a way, unfortunately, other charities kind of depend upon the Gates Foundation for money, so you don't get a lot of criticism from them. Another area in which you could get some feedback to a man as rich and powerful as Bill Gates might be through investigations from news outlets. But unfortunately, they are also not providing much feedback, as you'll learn in a minute. Now, one of the issues when rich people, unfortunately, tend to put these foundations together, they tend to donate to the causes they know and understand. In Bill Gates's case, a lot of the grants go to top universities in Western countries. Nothing wrong with that per se, but as you can see from this chart, a lot of these universities, Harvard, Stanford, Yale, they already have massive private foundations of their own that filled with billions of dollars. So in theory, it might make more sense for some of this money to go to some of the lower tier schools that maybe aren't producing as much as the higher tier schools because they lack the money. Once again, the wealthy kind of donating to what they already know about other wealthy people. Now, another issue with particular to the Gates Foundation is that they give money to for-profit corporations, which is a little strange. Over $2 billion has been given to for-profit corporations, and some of the grants are kind of strange. For example, MasterCard got an $11 million grant to build a financial research center in Nairobi, Kenya. The idea behind this was that they were going to research financial services that could be made to African people, but kind of that's the whole raison d'etre for MasterCard to exist. So why do they need a grant in order to figure this out? Likewise, I was mentioning about news outlets. They have also received money from the grants from the Gates Foundation, and ABC and NBC have received millions. Now, the biggest contribution to these for-profits have been going to pharmaceutical companies for medical research and vaccine research, hundreds of millions of dollars. Now, the other issue you might have with respect to the Gates Foundation is it's a reflection of its founder, Bill Gates. And Bill Gates, like any tech entrepreneur, he loves his high-tech solutions versus maybe a low-tech solution that might be a better fit for the actual problem. He also has kind of a Western focus versus maybe a local solutions focus. The other issue is he does like the private market versus maybe more governmental solutions. Now, this can be a problem with different things. For example, as I mentioned, he's done a lot of work in vaccines. We have certainly seen a lot of improvement in vaccines recently with COVID, but that was due to a lot of government money being thrown at it very, very quickly. I don't know, and it's very hard to tell how much of Bill Gates' money has actually made a difference with vaccines. The other issue is that Bill Gates has personally made a lot of his money with patents and intellectual property. A lot of people who are interested in lowering the drug costs, especially for countries that don't have a lot of money, would like to see another way that pharmaceutical companies could protect their property and make money, but at the same time provide medicines to people who don't have a lot of money, and the patents can make that difficult. The other issue is that when you start looking at how they're spending their money on this research, which is very interesting, very nice, but it might also be beneficial to provide more funding to local hospitals in different areas so that people actually have access to basic medical needs. Likewise, focusing on a particular issue, malaria, that's something that the Gates Foundation has been looking into for about 20 years now. In the last 20 years, they have given away 2 billion mosquito nets for free to Africa and a few other places. The issue is that maybe the concept of free mosquito nettings was a little bit changed by the people who received them in Africa. They started turning them into fishing nets, which is very inventive, but unfortunately might be causing more damage to the fishing stock. These nets have a very fine mesh, and they're unfortunately catching baby fish and even baby shrimp. That might be having an effect on the environment. There still need to do some research studies to figure out exactly what's going on. Now, as I was saying, there are other low-tech solutions to some of these problems. Like I said, the mosquito nets are nice, but they're like a Band-Aid. In the United States, we did a lot of spraying and infrastructure changes, both in the South, as you can see from this chart from the CDC, but also with the Panama Canal. These things were done over like 100 years ago and involved changing the environment to make mosquito habitat more difficult and also widespread spraying. So once again, nothing wrong with the solutions they have, but it's hard to get feedback on how viable any of these things are that they've done. And with that, I thank you.
Thank you, Georgie. if you'd like to take a few minutes and a minute or two to give some feedback to Georgie. Okay. Okay, at this point, I'd like to introduce, begin the evaluation phase of our meeting. The evaluation phase is that where we give feedback to our speakers who will, the evaluations are about for 2 to 3 minutes. It involves the evaluator listening to tell what the speaker and pointing out any kind of mistakes or presentation techniques or suggestions that they may have. Our first evaluator is Gautam. Gautam has joined, I believe it was last year, or at the beginning of this year, and has rapidly become a major and a stalwart member of our club. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, please welcome Gautam, who will be evaluating Wai Ming.
Thank you, fellow Toastmasters and HANA broadcast. So I'll be evaluating Wai Ming's speech on I am the captain of my life. I really like the title. It's very inspiring me, and the objective, right? My life is not decided by the nature, circumstance, and the gods. So it was really good one. I see that Wai Ming used your gesture very well. However, some of them is not captured. I guess that's because of the camera projection. So I would see that if it is possible, you can mount your camera so that you can capture your entire frame and you can capture your emotions. Like the camera projection is from the side. So we are not able to connect to your eye contact. So that's a one improvement I would like to give. So the story always kept curious. I was looking at, okay, what is the end moral of the story? And for the moral of the story, we know that, okay, what is the supportive content that we are going to hear? So you always come up with real world story. It's not any makeup one. So I really appreciate it for putting your efforts to come up with these kind of stories. And I'm very curious how did you get all these stories? So if you have any tips, please feel free to share to the group so that we'll come up with our own real stories to identify the speech content. And your pace was really very good. It was slow, and we were able to understand we were able to understand the sentences and catch the topic. Even if we missed something, yes, we were able to keep following your story. I would like to give some thoughts about to work on few stuff, such as vocal variety of words and its inflections. And I also see that there were few repeatable words and eye contact. Eye contact could be done if you mount your camera in a correct way. And also I would like to challenge, would there be any way to avoid the repeatable words where you can add some pause, or you can show your emotions without repeating the words? That would be really great, so that we don't see that the repeatable words will make us, or personally I felt like, okay, he's looking for words or looking for some content or what. So that kind of thought will make us like disconnect from your story. So that would be really helpful. But overall, I really enjoyed the talk. I really like the title, and yeah, I'm gonna copy that line. I'm the captain of my life. Thank you.
Thank you, Gautam. Our next evaluator is myself. I will be evaluating Georgie. Georgie spoke about the use of charities and how a lot of rich people, people who have excessive capital, will take a lot of their and donate it to a charity of their choices. And this is normally something that a lot of people, once they've actually reached a certain station, an economic milestone, they will devote their attentions about giving their money away to them. So the primary focus of this entire speech was focused on the Gates Foundation, of how they've been structured, and what are their goals are, how they've actually organized themselves in publishing and providing transparency in terms of their goals, and of their tax and their financial state, and also doing a survey of what, on the flip side, what are some negative consequences of their charitable giving. All in all, I found that the speech was really well balanced. You did begin with an introduction about the Gates Foundation, and the one thing that I really liked about it is that you kicked off your speech with saying that, yes, today I'm going to tell you about the Gates Foundation and how they've used the tax laws in this country to get into a tax advantage state. You also brought out what the great points about the foundation is, about how they've kept their goals and their objectives as broad as possible, so that they don't have to sort of limit themselves to a certain set of goals. And then you jumped on, and once you gave a quick survey on the members and their decision-making process, they moved on to what kind of activities that they've been involved in. I think that all in all, one of the things that I would like to see in your speech, while your speech actually gave a really good survey of what the Gates Foundation is doing as an example of charitable foundations, I got this feeling is that you've actually taken a lot of facts, but and you weren't actually giving a sense of how you personally felt about it. Do you have an opinion about it? Your speech was a set of facts, very well organized, well presented. The only way I could actually gauge your views on the topic was that you gave a large percentage of your speech to a critique of what the foundation does. But that was mostly because I kind of sussed that out of the content of your speech. There wasn't anything explicit. I don't know if that was by design, but my own take is that if you give an opinion on this one, it would actually sort of round out about saying that, yes, foundations are awesome, they give a lot of money away, but there's this dark side of it. I don't know, I don't want to actually put words in your mouth here, but that's something that you could sort of give an opinion about how you feel about it, and that would actually make the speech a little bit more impactful and personal. Otherwise, great presentation and style. That's kind of always a given with your speech, and thank you very much. I look forward to seeing it again. Okay, at this point, I'm going to return control to the Toastmaster, me, introduce myself as the Toastmaster. And our next section is our table topics. And I'd like to introduce our table topics master, Georgie.
Amy. Good morning again, everybody. Our theme of the day was holiday projects. And Haroon mentioned specifically that he is working on his holiday project. So today, I'm going to talk to everybody about potential holiday projects, but I'm going to also look at the concept of looking at these with the respect of the different steps that we take in project management. So I want you to think about, if you have a project and how when you're called on, how you might break down your project to do this step of project management. Okay, so we'll see how this goes. It's going to be a little bit of an improv, you might say, since I've never done anything quite like this. So we'll start with Haroon, because I know you have a holiday project already in mind.
Mhm.
So when you put together a project management, one of the first things you do is that you identify and meet with potential shareholders who can assist you with your project. So I'd like you to describe, with respect to the project you have in mind over this holiday, have you identified any other shareholders that can assist you with your project? And if so, how might you get them together and get their feedback on organizing your holiday project?
Well, thank you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Oh, and just to remind everybody, the word of the day is impeccable. And I don't want to have to remind you that because I know you guys are just impeccable, have impeccable memory, so that won't be a problem.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Table Topics Master. Project management on personal projects is something that is very important. It's something that I do not practice very much, but I do have a list of projects that I do work on, and I do define as one of the things. Whenever I start on a project, I do make a list of things. Now, they may not have schedules and dates assigned to them as a normal project, like you would do in a work environment. But nevertheless, they do have kind of a vague idea about when I want to finish things off. Now, you mentioned about shareholders. Shareholders, in my opinion, are people who actually have a stake in the success of your project and not necessarily have an involvement, day-to-day involvement in your project. In my particular case, my project, my shareholders are, my personal project, there's going to be my wife and my extended family. Any project that I do have means that I have to actually find some way of incorporating, adding resources to that project without actually impacting them, or find some compromise with other shareholders in that project. So that is the kind of juggling that I have to do. Shareholders don't necessarily have anything to contribute to it, but since they do own a chunk of my time, like a shareholder would have an ownership stake in a company, these people have a say in the matter, and I have to sort of make sure that whatever I do, some value is being delivered to them. So I'm hoping that by my personal projects that I get an insight, be a better person, a better writer, and maybe a better husband. Who knows? That's how I'm going to actually look at it. Thank you very much, Madam Table Topics Master.
Yay! Very good. Very good. All right. Now, let's move on to another person, and I want you to think about what your holiday project is or could be, and then I want you to, the next part of the project management often is defining the project's scope. What are you going to try to get accomplished within the next month or so before, as we reach the holiday season on your holiday project? So describe what your project is going to be and what you're going to do within the first month or so. And I'm going to ask Gautam this question. So Gautam, what's your holiday project, and what's your scope for the project for the next month?
Okay, it's a holiday project. Well, I haven't thought about holiday project, but I'm thinking of holiday project when I heard about it. Okay, maybe a drawing. It's a holiday, so the project should not have any tight end goals. Should be free of mind and help us to enjoy the holiday. Feel like art does have a end goal, but when we connect to the drawing, we will completely give ourselves. No forcefully we are getting our hands into the art. So how do I manage it in a month? I'll define the scope, especially if it is a new, then I'll keep my scope very low, because that will give give me motivation, and the end result will be impeccable of the outcome. Why I keep that scope very low? Because it's completely new. I need this project to motivate me to do other things. If I keep the scope high, if I cannot achieve it, then it's going to impact my motivation in a negative way. So 1 month, new project. Let's keep the scope very low and identify the low-hanging fruits and aim for it. Over to Table Topics Master.
All right, thank you very much, Gautam. All right. Now, another thing you need to do once you have figured out what sort of project your holiday project is going to consist of, and you figured out your project scope, it's important to start defining what the deliverables will be for your project. So Wan Ming, what would be a good project for you for the holiday to work on? And what would you define for your deliverables for this project? Can't hear you. Can't hear you.
Sorry. Let me start again. Georgie, that was an impeccable question, and I do not have an impeccable answer. However, there's so many projects around this table that I'm sitting on that, as opposed to what just Gautam said, I cannot simplify enough which one to do. In fact, I cannot even have a list. I don't have a list. I have a table, a mess of stuff to do. So it cannot be impeccable. However, so I just need to pick up something, and I might have to close my eye and just pick one. And one of those is likely to be something that I've been trying to do, but I have not been able to be successful at it. Not often, and not repeatable success. It's the idea of how do you actually print nylon. And you can heat up nylon, you can print it. However, it's not consistent because somehow the temperature around it is not. They don't come out very well. At least at home. If you go to a shop, you can get it very well. But how do you do it at home? And so that's going to be one of my projects for this whole next few months. However, the whole point with all this, I think you would start the clock. The whole point with all this is all these projects that at least I do is part of a continuum of stuff that hopefully part of my life. So eventually it'll be of some use, some maybe. In any case, that's where I am, Ms. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Wei Ming. Now, let's see. Would you like to take a question, Anesh?
Yeah,
okay.
Georgie, yes.
Great. All right.
Please.
So your question is for your holiday project that you're working on. Another important part of project management is identifying potential issues associated with the project and doing a complete risk assessment to figure out where things might go off the rails for you, for your project. So give us what your theoretical project will be and what potential issues and risks you might have associated with your project.
Yeah, I can think of one project. Georgie, first let me say that this is a very good question, and it's to get the thoughts or get the ideas for this is a little bit. I'm struggling a little bit, but I'm thinking of the holidays project supposed to be like a more fun and ideally the holiday project. If we are not in the pandemic, I would plan for some kind of a vacation. And yeah, while if it's like we need to buy the tickets and we need to book the hotels, flight tickets, hotels and all, but the Also, at the same time, we have to see what are the activities can be done at the vacation destination, and the risk of the potential risks we need to identify are going to be, let's say, if you're doing any scuba diving, or if you're planning to spend your holiday on the skiing or something, uh, there will be some risks. And you have to identify if you are a good skier or a good scuba diver, or if you're or any other either outdoor activity or something, then you have to train yourself before you going there, and uh, kind of you have to gather all these risks involved in those activities, and list it out. Okay, I'm going to do this activity, um, like scuba diving, mountain biking, or skiing, or whatever the destination that is you can do. Uh, and if you have any risks there, then identify, hey, let's not go beyond your limits or something, list out, and identify your capabilities and all. I would like to put that in first in place. Yeah, yeah, it's over 2 minutes. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you very much. All right. So everyone has answered a question. Harun, would you like me to turn it back over to you as general evaluator, or what would you like to have be done next?
Yeah, I guess if everybody's spoken, then
I
we
mean,
can
I could ask even more questions of different things, but since everyone's spoken, does anybody, we're good. Does anybody else want more questions? Want more practice?
I think we're good.
Okay, cool.
Okay, impeccable timing. Well, thank you, Madam Table Topics Master. I'd like to start off now, hand it over to our general evaluator, who will be doing the general evaluation of the meeting, which is me. So at this time, I'd like to call on our timer, Wai Ming. How did we do on time as speakers?
So Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmaster, most welcome guests, I'm just read off the time in the prepared speeches. I spoke for 5 minutes and 30 seconds, Georgie 9:35. In the evaluation, Gautam 3:04, Harun 3:22. In the table topics, Harun 2:05, Gautam 1:39, myself around 1:30, and Anish 2:06. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you. Thank you, Wai Ming. Gautam, do you have our grammarian's report?
Sure. So I noticed a few very good phrases from the speakers. We had a very good impeccable speakers today. I really liked their motivation and the title behind the topic. Let's start with Georgie. Georgie used a word sainthood in a very good way. I have never heard about that word. When I heard about sainthood, I was able to match it, but just want to confirm. Considered for sainthood, it was really a very good usage at the right time. And you also mentioned wealthy donating to wealthy people. That was a very good phrase. I never heard about it. And I noticed you used the word of the day impeccable in a perfect sentence. I'm curious, like how a new word could be used in our sentence. Maybe it comes from practice. So it was very good manner to use it in a right way. And by me, as I mentioned, I really liked the title of the speech. Usually I'm the captain of my ship. It was changed into a life. It was very good.
Hey, by the way, Harun came up with the title.
Awesome. Kudos goes to Harun then. Well, for Anish, myself, and Harun, I maybe missed your words, but I never find any errors in your speech. Thank you for everyone.
Thank you. Our next duty master is our word master, and our word master is Georgie. Georgie, how did we do on using our impeccable in our speeches.
Okay. I noticed that I used it, Wai-Ming used it, Haroon used it, and if Gautam or Nesh used it, I missed it. Sorry about that.
Oh,
But-
sorry, I forgot to use.
Okay.
But
And
good job, guys. Over 50% usage.
Gautam, would you tell us how we did on our counter? How did we do on ahs and ums?
Sure. Georgie, as always, used less than 5 hours over the speech and table topics. Haroon, Wai-Ming, Anish, myself, we were into between 5 and 10 counts. But overall, no one crossed above 10. That's really very good. Thank you.
Thank you. And at this point, do we have a joke? I mean, do you have a joke in your repertoire?
I can tell an old joke if you want.
Yeah,
Okay, all right.
Georgie.
This is a old joke. I've told this one before, so but maybe you guys have forgotten. So that's what I hope. All right. So it is the French Revolution. Madame Guillotine is very busy today. Lots of prisoners to behead. So the first prisoner is brought by the guard to the guillotine and placed in the contraption. And as it comes down, the blade stucks down. And the prisoner, who is a priest, says, "Aha! It is the will of God that you not execute me. You have to release me." And so the guard doesn't want to argue with the priest about religion, and so he lets him go. The second prisoner to be executed is placed in the block, and once again, the blade stops halfway down. He says, "Aha! I am a lawyer. You are not allowed to be double in jeopardy to execute me twice. You have to let me go." And the guard, being a very wise man, realizes not to argue with the lawyer and lets him go. The third prisoner is brought out, and the third prisoner is an engineer. And once again, the blade stops partway down, and the engineer says, "Hey, I think I see what your problem is."
Thank you. Thank you. This was a good joke. At this point now, as general evaluator, I'm going to be evaluating the meeting. Today's meeting was very light. It's understandable.
It was impeccable.
It was impeccable. And so I want to first call out on everybody who stepped up. It's always a great thing that even when we are short on people, everybody is going to be doing maybe not one, but 2 or even 3 roles at a time. And this really helps out and makes sure that, you know, when things go back, we will always be there to actually to be there and get our meetings going again. In general, I found that the speeches were really good. Both Wai-Ming and Georgie are such seasoned speakers, and they always have a large variety of topics that they want to talk about. And it's an inspiration to actually hear them speak. Not only because that they always come up, but they're always ready to step up and present a topic. Even if you don't have any speakers. I thought the evaluations went really well. It's very difficult to evaluate seasoned speakers like Wai-Ming and Georgie, but Gautam was really good about, you know, not only listening and to the content of the speech, but also critiquing it and giving valuable feedback to them. At this point, I thought that the meeting was pretty successful, and I'd like to return control to our acting president, which is myself. And thank you, Haroon. I'd like to now call upon the guests. Before I continue, please forward your ballots to our ballot counter. I don't know if you're going to still do balloting. I mean, we can just raise our hands or something. But if you want to be anonymous, just let us know. Georgie, do you have or do you want to actually skip the whole balloting thing for now?
Oh, I thought with what Wai-Ming said that we just do it via chat. Was I wrong? Okay.
Sure.
Why
Yeah.
don't I could be ballot counter, I guess. Why don't you guys send via private chat to me? Sounds
Okay.
good.
Yep, sounds good.
So yes.
Okay, so I will.
So we need to pick the best speaker or
Yes. Okay. So as ballot counter, I will be totaling our votes for who was the best or most improved speaker, best or most improved evaluator, and best and most improved table topics person. So you can just send that directly to me if you'd like, and then I will total them up, and we will then see who wins what in a few minutes. Meanwhile, I will turn control back over to our acting president, Harun, who I guess will be starting to put together a list of what we'll be doing next week and who will be doing what.
Right. So at this point, I want to, while the ballots are being collected, I'd like to call upon our guests, Anish, about any comments, feedback for us.
yeah, I mean, sure, Harun, thank you for asking me. I feel like the meeting really went well, and I'm very glad to see that you guys are continuing the same startup speakers through online. I was a little bit suspicious how the things are happening over the online, but it seems like you guys are in a pretty good flow. That's what I'm feeling, and both speeches are awesome. I really enjoyed this Wyoming and the Georgie speeches, and the table topics are a little bit critical, and we have to think beyond what my existing comfort level. That's what I feel, and I enjoyed table topics a lot too. Overall, I feel like this meeting is very much impeccable. I used it now
Yay!
towards the end.
All right.
Yeah, yeah. Overall, it's one of the best meetings that happened, and I really wanted to participate more going forward weeks. Also, I wanted to ask the one favor: what is the process to start again?
Oh, sure. I'll be happy to help you out on that. There's generally a form that you have to fill in.
Mhm.
I don't have the form right now. If you can actually just send me a direct message on the to me, and I will forward the form to you, which you can sign.
Can you give me your email or something?
Oh, sure. Yeah. Let me do that. And I will be reaching out to you. Either myself or Hannah, who is our president, will be reaching out to you.
Okay. Yeah, I'll send an email with my details. And I was previously member of Toastmasters. I just need to reactivate my account,
Oh,
I guess.
excellent. Okay.
And I don't know to whom to pay my dues.
So were
Yeah.
you a member of this club or a?
Yeah, I was a member of this club, and I know
excellent.
actually I met I met Georgie, Wyoming, and you too, and it
Oh.
was 3 years back. I know.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, welcome back. Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep.
So okay, I'll send my email to my contact to you, and I still see that my Toastmaster online account is still active, but I don't have to. I have to pay, I guess, and
Okay.
let me know the process. Yeah.
We'll definitely reach out to you. Either myself or Hannah is going to reach out. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, we do have some winners. So I'd like to, drum roll, please. Our best table topics goes to Anish. Thank you, Anish. Our best evaluator was myself. And our best speaker goes to Wyoming.
Yay!
So, hold on a second. Excuse me. Sorry, I just got a weird call. Spam call. Okay, so before we call off, I'd like to get some duties. Any volunteers for Toastmaster?
Well, I was going to volunteer to be a backup speaker.
Okay. I
I don't
would,
want to hog the speaking thing too much.
okay, so any volunteers for Toastmaster? Got them?
I'll take it.
Okay, thank you, Gautam. And do we have a speaker? Speaker one. I'm going to volunteer.
I can do if I'm allowed.
Sure. Hey, I think we can sort of, if you can actually get your membership in, I think we can get you in for a speaking slot.
Yeah, if that's possible, I'll prepare some my kind of, I don't know. If any
Icebreaker.
icebreaker. Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Okay.
I'll do the icebreaker one. I'll prepare.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yeah, and I think we've got some form that explains the icebreaker in case it's been a while since you've done one.
Yeah.
Yeah, if anyone can forward me that form so that I'll make sure my content falls into that format and all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Sounds good. And do we have a volunteer for table topics?
I can do that if no one else is going to do it.
Okay. Thank you, Georgie.
No problem.
Okay, so I think we've got the major roles all filled in. We might need some more volunteers for evaluators, but I will circle back and we'll coordinate again. So thank you, everybody. Let me just take a quick picture. So as Hannah would say, look alive, everybody. Okay, well, thank you very much, everybody. And I hope that everybody has a wonderful and relaxing Thanksgiving. And have a wonderful holiday. And we'll see you next week. Thank you very much.
Did you guys,
Bye-bye.
Harun, did you get Anesh's email?
I did get his email.
Cool. Because I'd be so embarrassed if we didn't get that. So, cool.
Thank you, Arun.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
have a great
Have a good
holiday,
one.
guys.
Yeah.